What's up, everybody? Welcome to a random Friday night live stream. And I also have Yeti Cast here. So, man, it's been a while. Thank you for jumping on late notice. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
And I know this is like backroom talk, but giving the explanation that will go live in about a minute was so unnecessary because it's a minute. Like,
well, yeah, but I wanted to, I just want to make sure you're aware because it's the worst thing in the world is, to not just to jump in. But yeah, so for everyone out there, and I see a couple people here, David, my friend, hope you're doing well. Glad for you to see you here. Alan over at Graves Reviews, thanks, buddy. Hope you're doing well. I know, again, this was very, very last second. I was supposed to stream last night, like I usually do. Had a bunch of scheduling conflicts, could knock it out. And I was going to plan on doing this later because right now you have like the powerhouse of pop culture live streams going on. You have FNT going on. I know like Doomcocks later, right? Like Fridays are the worst to be streaming.
oh,
But
here
again,
I thought you were gonna say you had the powerhouse of like pop culture with you tonight, but
oh
no,
no,
you
no,
you
no,
you
no,
went
no.
a totally different way.
Not
I
at
see how
all.
it is. I
Not
get it.
not at all. But I was like, all right, I got to get this streaming. And then plus, I don't know anyone who lives in the Midwest. Hopefully you're taking cover and being prepared because apparently there are massive tornadoes and bad weather. And I don't know, I may fall victim to that later on. So I was like, all
And
right, I got to do
Chinese
this.
spy balloons.
No Chinese spy balloons, thankfully. But I think
Well, how
these
do
are
you
worse
know?
here.
Because it's a spy balloon.
Well,
It's not a good spy balloon if you know it.
it wasn't doing a very good job at concealing itself.
Yeah, right.
But I'll show you in case anyone's not aware of what's going on right now, tornado-wise across the country. So this bad boy is in Iowa, which I am not in, thank God.
I watched Twister once, and I know that's an F5.
Yeah, that's really, really bad stuff, apparently. So if you're in the Midwest, hopefully you're taking cover, bunkering down, and staying safe because it's supposed to get really, really bad. Luckily, in my area, I don't think it's going to be like that. I hope not anyway. But just in case, I'd rather do this now. So let's say hello to a couple other people. GR, good afternoon. Hope you are doing well. Bobby, what's going on, man? Have you followed any of the Gwyneth Paltrow court case? No, I haven't. I haven't. Didn't she? She's the one who's passed away, didn't she?
No, she's alive. Or the person she hit.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of somebody else because somebody else passed away.
Gwyneth Paltrow is the chick with that Goop site that sells all those like the vagina candy.
Yeah.
That's her.
That's okay. Yeah, no, I have not heard anything of this Bobby whatsoever. So yeah, I don't know what's going on. I've been kind of out of the loop, man. Like I said, I know I haven't had a lot of videos out lately, and I was telling Yeti, I've just kind of been a little burnt out from like just kind of bad news in general in the world. And I was just like, I just need a break. I just need time away. And now that I've had it, I feel better. Not completely because the world's still collapsing, but I'm still, I feel a little bit better in the sense where I can talk about some stuff and I'm ready to get back into it. But got Matt Cave. What's up, buddy? Yeah, I will be doing my best and staying safe, man. Hope you are too. And Alan says the weather, yeah, same thunderstorms tonight. Yeah, the wind's supposed to pick up later tonight, apparently. So pretty crazy. And Bobby, yes, they are remaking a Twister. Jetty, did you hear about that?
Yes.
It's called Twisters. Very
yes. Wow, good stretching on the creativity for that one.
Of course. Well, you know what it is, right? I mean, we see this time and time again with what's going on. It's sequel after sequel. There's nothing original coming out. I mean, who does anybody? No, I don't think anybody wanted to see Twister, let alone Twisters, which I enjoyed Twister at the time. I haven't seen it in freaking years, so I don't know if it stands up to come. You know how some movies decay over the years. I don't know if it holds true. I'd have to rewatch it, but
I think I saw it a few years ago, and I thought it stood up fairly well. Like it's got a good cast.
Yeah, well, with what's his name is the main character who passed away. Game over, man. Game over. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Can't think of it again. You guys know me by now. I'm terrible with names. But
And I
yeah,
can't help you.
but
Like I'm
Ellen
think
Hunt was in it. She was the main the female actress, but I can't think of that name. He was in Aliens and everything. He passed away. Not Bill
uh,
Paxton.
oh, Bill Paxton. I totally got that and did not read it off of the chat.
What's up, Black Angus? Uh, Bill Paxton sucks. Game over, Black. Game
Oh,
over. Crazy. But yeah, so apparently they're making a Twisters 2, which again, I'm not that excited about. But all right, so let's hop into tonight's first topic. This is the only thing I've actually recently covered was the whole Jonathan Majors stuff. Have you seen that info? Like, do you know what's going on with that, Yeti?
only a little bit. I haven't looked into it too much. So there's a few things that well, I know you were gonna show, and that was gonna like start helping inform me.
Yeah, so basically what had happened would Jonathan Majors has been accused of domestic violence and all kinds of bad stuff with his girlfriend recently. Again, like I said in my video, innocent till proven guilty, all that stuff, right? Because that's how it should be. And now this is a big deal for Marvel and Disney because he plays Kang. I haven't. I'm assuming you haven't seen the new stuff, right? Like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and all that.
No, haven't. I didn't even know he was Kang. Like
Yes.
honestly.
Yeah. So that's who he's portrays in the movie, and apparently he's supposed to be the big bad going forward, right? He's the face of the franchise in that sense. And it's a pretty big deal that now this is coming out. So hang on a second. Got that Casey girl becoming a member. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. Glad to have you and glad that you're here hanging out with us. Again, thank you so much for supporting and being a member. You're driving and listening. Oh, well, please stay safe while you're driving. But I thank you for checking in and listening to us. Let me play something specifically for you for this is one of my favorites. You know what? No, I gotta do this. This is the best one. Hang on.
Give me a hell yeah. I said give me a hell yeah.
I love that so much. So thank you so much again, Casey. I greatly appreciate it and glad you're listening and all this stuff. But all right, so getting back to this. For Jonathan Majors, like I said, he's supposed to be a pivotal member of Marvel going forward. Obviously, this might be throwing a wrench in the works, right? So just recently, a lot of us were still waiting on, news to come out of what's going on. And apparently it was his lawyers that released text messages of the incident that are supposed to be claiming that he is innocent. Oh, and before I continue, heads up to David, because he was the one that kind of pointed this out to me in Twitter. So thank you, my friend, for keeping me up to date on some things since I've been a little bit busy and whatnot. But so I want to share my screen real quick so you can see these text messages. This is supposed to be vindicating him, and I think if anything, it really kind of hurts his case. I don't know how this is helpful, but Yeti, since you haven't seen this, you can kind of read it with me and then be the judge of this, because I personally don't think this is gonna be helping him, but I guess.
I like how it says alleged text, and you
yeah.
also have your chat open.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm boomering. I'm going the opposite way. Hang on. Why is it not? Oh no, it's not letting me zoom now. Why? All right. Let me try to zoom this way. There we go.
Why no, it is very tiny. Are you able to save it? Like see picture and then
here, I'll just read it, okay? If you can't see it, I'm sorry. So it says, so this is a text from the girlfriend, okay? After he'd already got arrested, she goes, "Please let me know you're okay when you get this. They assured me that you won't be charged. They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did it, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. I only just got out of the hospital. Just call me when you're
Oh,
out. So this is where it gets really,
ooh,
really bad. They
okay.
just go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just that first one does not say like I told them it was my fault for grabbing your phone, and then I just got out of the hospital.
So
What what happened grabbing his phone?
So,
Like,
yeah, apparently there was definitely a fight that happened. And the reason why they arrested him, right? Because when they arrived on scene, she had supposed injuries like to her neck, to her fingers. There was already bruising and swelling and whatnot. But these text messages clearly would lead me to believe that that's why he was probably pushing her off, right? Or assault, like hitting her back, essentially, if she's
uh,
going after his phone trying to grab it, or took his phone for that matter. I can't see.
yeah, but he he had to do something in order to send her to the hospital, and either way, that seems excessive. Instead
Oh
of like,
yeah.
hey, give me back my phone, like, you know.
Yeah. So here, this is what she continued to say. They just called me again to check on me, and I reiterated how this was not an attack, and they do not have my blessing on any charges being placed. Well, just so everybody
That's not
knows,
her.
yeah, it's not her pressing charges. If this that's on law enforcement, if they see that any type of assault has happened, it's they press the charges,
Yeah.
not her. I read the paper they gave me about strangulation, and I said point blank, this did not occur and should be removed immediately. The judge is definitely going to be told this. She ensured this to me. I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the call was to do with me collapsing and passing out and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior. Out of care, she promised all will be relayed. Because I don't know if you know
Uh,
this as well, Jonathan Majors was the one who actually called law enforcement.
okay.
So that's
But
why they showed up. It was he was the one that called them there because she was having some type of episode. And then when they showed up, they obviously saw the marks on her and things of that nature.
so, like, is this supposed to be an accident? Like, okay, she grabbed the phone and he goes to grab it and like yanks away, but it just ends up causing a tumble. I know that's happened. I've got a scar from um, my cousin and I. Just it was something like that where it was just I got put off balance, and it's not like you went to hit me or anything like that. Like
I mean,
you know?
so I feel like if a girlfriend is grabbing at your phone, that's not accidental. That seems to me like there was a reason she was kind of looking for his phone or trying to get his phone, probably some type of accusation going on. And
Oh yeah, no,
he, you know what I
I'm
mean?
talking I'm talking about how you end up going to the hospital. And I'm just looking for like the most reasonable explanation, but all I see is like, oh yeah, he hit her. And now she's, now she's the battered wife, like, oh, don't charge him. He really loves me when he hits me, type of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, right? A lot of, I mean, this happens a lot on domestic disturbance calls. You have either the woman calls and the guy goes to, and they've legitimately been battered, and then the guy ends up going to jail, and then the woman starts fighting the cops because they don't want him to go to jail. They just did it
Yeah.
to scare or whatever. I've seen that firsthand. I've seen that happen. And secondly, like I said, the guy will call the cops trying to prevent them from getting in trouble, and then they go to jail. Like it's very weird, but
Oh,
especially when it comes to domestic violence stuff.
yeah, and that could happen if there's domestic violence against the man. Like they'll arrest the guy when it was the woman who assaulted the man, just because like the cops just assumed that it had to be going one way, which is a little sad.
Yeah. But I personally, as like I said, the fact that like I don't think these texts help his situation in any way, shape, or form. I don't think this was a smart idea. As David says his lawyers are either dumb. One was the one that specialized in writing checks, or the lawyer was in Black Twitter and wanted to see drama. I mean, yeah, I don't think this was in his benefit whatsoever, and I don't see how this is going to help him in any way, shape, or
I
form.
Yeah,
Just
I
because, like I
really
said,
don't.
go ahead.
No, I'm with you. I don't see how this is in his favor. None of that sounds good.
No, not at all. Like I said, the fact that I told him it was my fault for trying to grab your phone, all that
Yeah.
does is prove that there was an altercation that took place. So that's
Yes.
so regardless of what she's saying, whatever, they've now the officers on site saw that there was some type of physical injury. She's proving right here in text messages that an altercation happened between the two. And, but again, that's the thing a lot of people don't realize too, is that most of the time cops on scene or at all, period, they charge you with as much stuff as possible because they know when you get to a prosecutor, they're going to try to downgrade stuff or try to drop charges. If you only have one charge and they drop it, it's over. So what they try to do is they try to stick you with as many as possible. That way the prosecutor's not dropping all of them. He's only going to drop maybe, or he or she is only going to drop 2 or 3, or then degrade them from if it's felony down to a misdemeanor or something like that, because they want it to stick usually. So, and then the worst case is the prosecutor has seen all the evidence and they decided to continue the motion. Like they haven't dropped it yet. So I don't know. This is not looking good. And I think this is really, really bad for them. And then kind of an update. I want to share this screen as well. But it says here that Marvel Studios is discussing options with the actor's agent. So we might have another Ezra Miller on hand. I don't know. I don't know if that's the case, but Ezra Miller situation 2.0 might be happening.
Ooh.
I mean, what do you I mean, if you were Marvel, Yeti, and you saw this happening and your star actor, right, is getting hit with all this stuff, do you drop him? Do you wait? Like, what do you think? How would you respond to this? I know it's kind of a hard situation we put in, but
I know, but so I'd like to think I'd just go it's innocent until proven guilty. Like that should be the way we go, but some of these cases they get dragged on for a while. But then how many times in the past has someone been charged and then a year later they win their case and they're proven not guilty? It's like, well, then you fired someone who wasn't guilty and there was like malicious intent from the person there. So I don't know, you kind of I'd have to say you have to wait until it's innocent, but I also understand, well, okay, if it turns out to be guilty and you didn't do anything at the start, you look like an asshole, which you can't avoid.
yeah, I think I would imagine that there's something in contracts that they sign, right? Like there's got to be something like, hey, if you are, because I mean, in reality, you can get fired from normal jobs. Like even though a domestic disturbance that you had nothing to do with, if you're in jail and you represent the company, like you put yourself in that situation, even though you're not supposed to be there, or or you had nothing to do with it. But if you get involved, it is what it is. I mean, it does happen. So I'm not rooting for this, right? Because if he didn't do anything, then I don't want anyone to lose their job, because that's shitty. But I do understand if they step away from it, or I mean, I don't know. It's a very hard situation to be put in, I guess.
Okay. One thing I could probably say. So if there's video of it, like with Ezra Miller, we saw Ezra Miller choke slam a pregnant woman. Now you don't have to wait for the guilty verdict to see he was guilty of hitting a woman. We haven't seen anything like that here, right?
No, there's nothing as far as I know, any type of, besides the officers, like reporting and whatnot, there's no other type of third party evidence as of right now.
Yeah. So like the video clearly showed Ezra was malicious and he should have been fired after that thing came down. But in this case, we don't see anything like that. It's just text messages and allegations, and like we don't really know what's the truth. We need to see way more evidence. So I don't think you can make a decision yet.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of time, right? This just happened. That normally these movies take a while. They're slowing everything down with Marvel anyway. It's just not a good look right now.
No, not at all.
Due to what's going on with Disney, Marvel in general, right there with layoffs. They just said Disney's 7,000 employees are getting laid off. I think one of the head of Marvel's just got fired. And then what's her name? I can't think of that woman's name. She was another CEO in Marvel that was head of the like VFX division. She got terminated, and then she spilled a bunch of. Did you hear about that too?
Yeah, I heard about that, but I still
Alonzo,
buy,
whatever.
Yeah, I don't buy any of her excuses. She clearly wasn't very good, and everything that you hear about her as the boss seems like she was actively hurting the special effects, and you could see that on screen. Like, we've seen that in the last few movies where it looks like trash.
Yeah, but I from my understanding, and again, it's still iffy, right? It's the reasoning behind it is not that. It's because she had to do with something else that was apparently outside of her contract. That was the reason for firing. It wasn't for poor VFX.
No. Yeah, it wasn't for poor.
Yeah.
But it was, I believe, because what she was doing outside of Marvel was taking time away from doing her job with Marvel and Disney.
I personally don't believe that, though. I think honestly they were doing it's with the budgeting cuts and all that nonsense. I think they're just trying to look to get rid of certain people, and they're already working out a deal. Because Victoria Alonso, and thank you again for the reminder, the name Bobby, because I'm terrible at this. She was already talking about spilling a lot of tea about what was going on with Disney, saying that directors of these Marvel movies aren't directing anything. Like, we direct like Marvel directs these movies.
Well, we already know that, don't we?
But we know that, but we don't know that. Like, she confirmed it. You know what I'm saying?
I thought that was out a long time ago. And it was one of the issues when people are being asked to direct. Like, they would get in there and then they would find out that, all the action scenes are directed by other people. You control some of the other stuff, and you're still very much under their thumb about how things get shot. And so you had directors walking away. I thought we knew all that.
But we never heard that specifically from somebody from Marvel, right? We heard that after the fact from directors once they were done or after they walked away from a project. So a lot of times you had people arguing the fact that, well, maybe they were just salty because they didn't like the project and they're blaming it on Marvel. Now you have somebody who was high up in Marvel that's gone, and they're openly saying, they're confirming the things that we already knew, but we're hearing it from somebody high up.
That doesn't seem like, if I heard that, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe she's spilling these beans. Or like, that's a nothing burger. Like, that reveals nothing.
It's nice to hear from somebody high up, though. Like, if Kathleen Kennedy came out and started saying a bunch of obvious stuff about Dave Filoni that we already knew, it's a little bit vindicating that you're hearing it from somebody within the company versus a third party or a rumor or whatever.
It depends on what it is. If it's like this, or he doesn't actually direct, that type of thing. Okay, sure, whatever.
Well,
that wouldn't be in the news for more than a day.
It was interesting to me to hear that she confirmed, like, all right, things that we already know. It's nice to hear, because, like I said, they're all going to start turning on each other. The more people they start firing that are higher up and they feel protected, like GR says right here, right? Victoria didn't get her golden parachute. She was promoting, like you said, Yeti, she was promoting an individual project, violated her contract, and now she's pissed and she's salty. So, all these people have, dirt on each other. That's how this business works. You see that even with like small companies, if you work at them, right? Like, people, they're all besties, but then when it goes south, they start talking crap about each other. Yeah. That's sometimes mom and pop jobs or, restaurant place. You see that all the time, right? So it's even worse when you get into Hollywood or government or anything like that. So it's just, I love to see them eat themselves. You know what I mean?
They're your friend until you're no longer popular, and then you mean nothing.
Absolutely. But yeah, so I thought this was interesting. Like I said, the just kind of update on the Jonathan Major stuff. It looks like that again. Texts don't really help.
No, I
Based
don't.
on this,
Okay, sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm sitting here. I'm thinking, why did the lawyers release that information? How did they look at it and go, "Oh, this is a slam dunk"? If we show the people right here, they're going to be like, "Oh, he didn't do it." How did they look at that text and like, "Yeah, we got to put this out"?
Yeah, and that's what David was saying. Like, what were these lawyers thinking? Like, did they really think this was going to help? Did they assume? And I don't
Get
know.
some new lawyers.
Yeah, if this is, as she referred to, the best team that he's got, and they think that, her confirming there was an altercation over his phone, I don't think that was a good idea. But, hey, it is what it is. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how this really pans out. But the fact that the prosecutor saw all the information, they didn't drop it, and then we see these text messages confirming there was some type of altercation over the phone. I don't know. I think personally, I think they'll probably come to some type of deal, right? They always do.
Oh, probably. Most of the Hollywood stuff never goes to like a real court. If it does, they're like, "Okay, you might have done something, so here's 30 days in rehab."
I mean, Alec Baldwin shot someone and killed someone, and he didn't go to jail. I cannot imagine he is something bad. But
you
again,
know what's really sad? Sorry,
no,
I keep interrupting.
No,
you,
you're
man.
good. You're
I'm
good.
sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. Alec Baldwin shot and killed someone, and nobody cared. But there's some minor altercation, and everybody is all over this.
Yeah, well, I guess because the reason why this is, and I don't think anybody cares. Like, I think normal people like you and I care. Hollywood, no, because Alec Baldwin it's his own studio. It was smaller, so it really wasn't a bigger news. I mean, you have Marvel, which is essentially Disney, anything Disney, anything massive like that. Or I think if something happened like this that was very well, no, I can't even. I was going to compare this to Amazon, but that's not even the same. Like, even though they're a huge, massive company, they're nothing. I mean, talking about Marvel and Disney, this is a massive, major powerhouse in Hollywood. I mean, I think it's the biggest, and so that's why anything they do, anything they touch, anything that goes bad is going to be massive news. And as David said, which is hilarious, he must have hired Jennifer Walters as his attorney. And yet, if you don't know who that is, that's She-Hulk. So,
oh shit. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I did not know. Oh.
Yeah. So that's pretty hilarious. That would be a great dude. What kind of funny skit would that be if there's an episode, someone does a spoof episode of Jennifer Walters, defending Kang because he choked some lady? That would be hilarious.
Dude, that would, Marvel would never do that, but if actually, it'd be so self-aware that it would like break the internet. It would be amazing and incredible. Everybody would laugh, but they'd never put any of that negativity focused on them.
That would be a great idea for you to do an edit. If you can edit that and roast it and turn that into a little short or something, maybe that would be hilarious. It'd probably take you a while, but it would still be fun.
No, it definitely would. You'd have to find enough stuff with Kang and not looking not from different roles. You have to have enough talking lines for him.
Yeah, or you just voice over. Just voice. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
But or you can have David do a voiceover. Bobby says, "What is sad is Alec Baldwin shot and killed a person. Yeah, exactly, and it has no sympathy for them. Where actors like Michael Massey, who accidentally shot Brandon Lee, talked about how that haunted him for years. Yeah, that's a huge deal. And well, Alec Baldwin, we kind of know what kind of person he is, right? He doesn't care. I mean, he didn't seem to care pretty much right after. I mean, he did those crazy interviews talking about how it wasn't his fault. He never had his finger on the trigger, even though there's a clear picture of him literally with his finger on the trigger.
And he's yelling at his wife like throughout the interview. He's like, "Stop!"
Oh,
Like, okay,
that
this is
guy
not good.
Yeah, he is the worst. And David has a good point. You could use AI voices. The way you got to look into that, because the way they do the AI voices now, you can pretty much get voices for anybody.
Yeah, I think Mr. Grant Gregory does that really well, and I think in order to get it to like a good quality, he's paying for this service per month or something. I don't know
Oh.
what, but anyways, yeah.
All right, so
Yes.
let's get to the next thing, and let's talk about old John Wick. All right, so I don't know if any of you have seen John Wick 4, or it is, yeah, 4. Let me know in the chat without spoiling it if you enjoyed it or not. I've heard good things. I'm gonna tell you right now. So I'm gonna pull this next thing up. I have not seen 4. I recently rewatched all of them because I haven't seen them in forever. I love the first one. Love the first one.
Oh, the first one, yeah.
The second one was it was all right.
No,
Not bad.
the second one
sequel.
sucked. It straight up sucked. It was garbage. The acting was atrocious. Not because of Keanu Reeves, because no one was actually keeping up with Keanu Reeves. Everything had to be slowed down. Like you had what's her name? Rose. The girl.
Yeah, the one from Orville.
How? Ruby Rose. You had Ruby
Oh,
Rose.
Ruby Rose. No, she was in the third one.
No, that was the second.
Nah, it's the third one.
No, I'll put money on.
Go ahead.
It was
How much
second.
you want to lose? How much you want to lose? I just watched these.
Let's look it up right now. Ruby Rose was a big part of the second.
No, she was in the third one. She was the mute in the third one because they were in Italy.
She was a mute in the second one.
She wasn't in the second one.
Yes, okay. We have to IMDb.
Go ahead,
this
look it
right
up.
now.
All right. Anyway, while you look it up, because I'm not gonna keep arguing. While you look that up, John. So
that's some good content, man.
The second one was okay, and the third one was atrocious. The third one
was way better than the second.
I
think you watched these out of order, man.
No, I did not. Nope. You and I just always agree.
Ruby Rose, boom, boom, right here. Okay, I got to show you my screen, so it actually means something.
Oh, you know what? You are dead right. I'll take the L. I'm taking the L. I was completely wrong.
You know, right. Oh,
No, I'm wrong. You were right, because Bobby just reminded me. Cannoli Sasquatch, what's up, man? Glad you're here. Yeah, I forgot about Halle Berry even being in the third. That's how bad the third one was. I hated the third one, but yeah, Ruby Rose was in the second one. You're right.
And then you had Common, who was another guy in the second one.
Oh,
he couldn't keep up with Keanu. So like all the fight scenes where in the first they had actual stunt guys as the bad guys doing these fights, and in the second you had these terrible actors that could not hold their own.
This is for me because I completely screwed this up. Okay, so I'm taking the L. This is for me.
You are one dumb son of a bitch.
That was for me because I was completely off on that. So yes, I was 100% wrong. Alan, I'm glad you like them all, which I don't hate them, but man, some of the acting and stuff was it was rough. It was rough. But I love the first one. Absolutely love the first one.
The first one is damn near perfect.
I agree. Right? Well, I wouldn't say perfect, but it was really freaking good. Like I honestly think that movie on its own is great. The sequels, like I don't know, man. I hated the Halle Berry one with the dogs. Oh, it was so cringe. And then they were just wildly out in the desert, and he cuts his finger off, and then there's some scenes, and you see his fingers back on. You're like, I thought his finger got cut off? What's going on? Like it was just, I don't know, man. It was rough. But regardless, John, well, you said you liked the third one better, right?
Okay. But I will caveat this with I haven't seen the third in a while, and I need to rewatch it to remember what happened. But I do remember going, "Oh, this was definitely better than the second," because I couldn't stand the second. I didn't like the story. There was some aspects that were good. Like Keanu's always great, but the actors that couldn't hold up, and the way they didn't do the cinematography, like they did in the first, I thought was such a letdown, because you've got these like long extended scenes in the first where they don't cut at all. It's Keanu and the stunt guys doing all this flawlessly from, a minute straight, and just watching it in like amazing detail with the colors, lighting, everything. And then you get to that second and it's all shaky cam chasing behind him. Like, well, this is such a downgrade.
Now, what's interesting that Cannoli Sasquatch says this, because I saw a couple people, like I was watching some non-spoiler reviews, and I just also some people on Twitter posting their comments and stuff, and they said that someone said they loved the first one, didn't care for the second and third one, but said the fourth one was almost as good as the first one. And now Cannoli's throwing me off because he says if you don't like second and third one, you will hate the fourth one. So now I don't know. I'm still a little concerned. I'm probably, to be honest, just because like I said, I love the first one. The second and third one didn't do much for me, so I'm probably not going to go out and see the fourth one. I'll probably stream it for sure, but I'm not going to run out and see the fourth one.
When I say I don't like it, I still think it's better than most of the stuff Hollywood has been putting out.
100%, 100%. And I love, as Alan over here says, I agree they were rough, but I'm a fan of cheap kung fu. Like, the action and all that stuff, you can't take that away. Like, the fact that the physical training that he went through for these movies, like, insane.
Absolutely. Nothing but respect.
Yeah, the action's great. Sometimes, like I said, a little. That's why I like the first one compared to the second and third one, because some of it just gets a little bit too over the top. And call me a cynic, just based on background, I've seen a lot of things and violent stuff. Sometimes I'm like, well, that guy, if that really happened, that guy wouldn't have just stood there and waited to get shot. You know what I mean? Like, it's like reality has kind of ruined some movies for me, especially military movies and stuff. It's kind of hard for me to, I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen. But regardless, if you shut that off, of course they're fun, right? But here, now, for those that have seen it, that are in the chat, does a John Wick 5, is that, without spoiling it, is it justifiable? Because now I feel like we're going to get into because obviously it's such a success at the box office and things are not normally a success anymore, which is unfortunate. Now, obviously they're saying John Wick 5's on the table.
Okay. So my opinion changed like 6 times during you reading that that title. And that's because, like, I'm going through my, like, first off, like, oh God, another sequel. And then I go, oh wait, Mission Impossible has been doing these incredible movies. And they keep putting them out. I think they're going on to what, like 6 or 7 now, something like that. Like, Mission Impossible has put out a lot, but the one difference is I think they got to slow down a little. Like, take some time and really, really craft that story and then start shooting. Don't rush this. Don't rush. Do it like Mission Impossible. Like, get that stuff well defined and then go forward. Because I don't have a problem if they say, oh, we'll do another Mission Impossible. Like, sure, yeah, I want to see it. And I'd probably be that way if John Wick was just going just a little bit slower to get the details better that were missed in 2 and 3.
Well, and that's what I get afraid of when movies get into, like, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th. It's like it really starts to get watered down, or it starts to kind of go off the beaten path and go crazy. I think there's a lot of world in the John Wick that they can, like, the universe gather that they could really dig into, and they can kind of split off, which I'm pretty sure they are doing. I thought I heard rumblings of that they're going to have some kind of, like, spin-off movies from other characters, which I think is great because there's a lot that they can explore there. Now,
Armas, that really hot Latino chick, I
don't know name.
What is her name?
I know
she's in everything now.
Yeah,
it's
now. Grave Reviews, Alan. That is a perfect comment. I don't know if you saw this movie. He says, but could nobody and John Wick please be from the same universe, please? Nobody was such a fun and great movie. That was so awesome. I don't know if they're even doing a sequel for that. I would imagine they would, but that was
sometimes you don't
fun
need
movie. I agree. I 100% agree with you.
I can also see like, yeah, I would still kind of like it because that Nobody was fantastic. It was grounded. It reminded me a lot of the first John Wick movie because I think the first one was fairly grounded. It was a very simple story of just bad guys who screwed with the wrong guy and they killed a dog and you never hurt a dog. Like
Yep.
you just don't. So they got what was coming, and you had all these little details about the world sprinkled in like rather brilliantly for storytelling because they didn't explain it. It was on the screen for you to fill in those little blanks that really elevated it, and Nobody kind of did the same thing.
Yep. And Night Ronin, what's up, man? I hope you're doing well, my friend. He's talking about Nobody, because you've seen Nobody, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That bus fight, that scene. Oh,
Oh
my
god.
God, dude. That was so much fun. That movie is so freaking awesome. And again, I think I 100% agree with you. There are movies out there we don't need sequels to. Sometimes it's just better off one and done.
Yeah.
But I will say this, if they came up with a really good story for Nobody,
Oh.
I wouldn't mind it at all.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I just
No, go ahead.
I just had an idea. But you have John Wick going up against Nobody just
Yeah.
because like something ended up happening. And we know like one of the great things in Nobody is how it twisted the idea that about the fights the entire time. Like he wants to get hurt, he just wants to feel so like he could kick some ass, but it's like yeah, he kind of wants to get that stab wound.
Yeah.
He's not
Well, and
regretting that.
Bobby makes a great point too, because like I said with John Wick, it's about the puppy and the dog, and obviously him losing his wife. But Nobody, right? He loses his mind because he's like, I want that damn kitty cat bracelet. Like that was my daughter's kitty cat bracelet, and I want that. Remember,
I think that. Oh, sorry, God,
No, go
I'm
ahead, go ahead,
sorry,
go ahead.
man.
You're good.
No, I don't think it was. That was just something that was there. Like he wanted to get it back because he thought it was stolen. But the story is way more about this retired agent that is dying to be back in his old life. Like he
Yeah,
is
to
just
break up the
itching.
monotony of life and
Yeah,
everything. But I'm saying it was a catalyst. It
yeah.
was
It was a
a
catalyst. It was an
so
excuse.
yeah, so
Yeah,
essentially a springboard thing to get him into that world and get him back into the string of things. But Bobby makes a good point too here as well when we're talking about multiple sequels going into it. Like I absolutely still love to this day the first Fast and the Furious. I
yeah.
love that movie. It's amazing in its own right. It's perfect. It really set the time back then because
Oh God,
as
it does.
soon as that movie came out, I mean, it was already well known, but then illegal street racing blew up, especially where I was at in Brooklyn, New York. I mean, it was everywhere. Everyone wanted like the underglow in their cars. Like it was just nonsense. But now we have again Fast and Furious 10 where they're like driving Teslas to the moon. Like it's insane. Like it's just it's gotten absolutely out there. But
But here's the thing. Like I I don't care that they're doing those crazy things because I kind of want popcorn flicks back. Like we don't have the really fun movies like we used to. Where are these fun action movies coming out? You just have them coming in the sequel. So like, okay, here, this isn't going to be grounded in reality.
I'll
Whatever. But you're going to sit back and grab some popcorn and go like, oh God, look at that car fly. Woo!
What's a fun popcorn flick that just came out? 65. 65 with Adam Driver, the dinosaur movie, was a fun popcorn flick.
Oh God, I want to see that.
It
I
was
forgot about that.
yep, it
Oh,
was
maybe I'll do
that's
my
that is a
next.
perfect if you want just a fun popcorn flick, nothing too crazy to think about, not too detailed. It's still gets a little dark in a good way. But overall, I loved it, man. It was fun. It wasn't too intense. It didn't go too far up its own butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It just, it was not the best CGI in the world, but it was good enough. And it was fun. I had a good time at the movie
yeah.
theater watching it. It was great.
But what's kind of sad is you haven't heard any, like, when did that get released? Like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks
Oh,
ago?
longer than that now. Yeah, it didn't do
Seriously?
very well. It didn't.
Okay, so
Critics
that's the
shit all
sad
over
part.
it. I know. Well, because, that's just the way it is. Everyone, especially now, like the younger generation, it's more so like, I just want Marvel. I want superhero movies. I don't care about dinosaurs. I don't, and
I
to
don't
the
know about that, man.
promotional, it didn't. There was nothing promotional for 65. Not very
The,
much anyway.
the Marvel movies have been doing worse and worse. Like every single one's kind of flopping. So it's not like the young kids are just like, I just got to have Marvel. They want
Well, and
something good still.
I will say this too, even with well, I was gonna say the economy doesn't help, but man, Scream killed it. And I thought Scream was bad, but their box office numbers are insane. And again, here's another example: John Wick, right? You could say,
Yeah.
yeah, the economy, but dude, the numbers speak for itself.
Yeah,
So I
they'll
don't know.
go see some Top Gun Maverick. Like
Yeah,
that, did people went out to see it? Now, maybe you can say people are being a bit more choosy with what they're going to see. So they're waiting for something that they know is going to be fairly good, and then they're just going to go see that. So you got these couple big ones every few months because the family can afford to go every few months, but they're not going. It's not like they're doing the movie night every weekend anymore. That type of thing. Maybe
yep,
that plays in.
yeah. Alan says, I could see nobody walking up to John Wick and saying, "Hello, John. We are in the government.
Yeah,
I've been watching you, and we left you alone until now. You've crossed the line." That's
yeah,
definitely a fun crossover for sure. Like Alien versus Predator, nobody versus John Wick. That
that
would
would
be
work.
really cool. That would.
And
Go
you'd
ahead.
have to reground John Wick a bit more because it started getting a bit more fantastic in 2 and 3. You got to ground it to be on the level of nobody so it works.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
then you could have this, you could have something amazing like now you've got nobody facing some of the assassins, but then nobody goes and hires a couple assassins of his own to help him. Like there's some like team building stuff. It's civil war uh for John Wick and nobody, like that type of thing.
Yeah. Bobby, there's definitely more than 10 minutes of dinosaurs in that movie. I mean, again, they do a lot of, well, not a lot, but they do a decent amount. It's not a very long movie either. It's not one of those movies that are overly long and, because sometimes, movies are just too long and it's like you could have chopped 30 to 40 minutes out. No, this is perfect. It has enough dinosaur satisfaction in there, at least for me. Was it the best dinosaur scenes in the world? No, some of it was a little bit cheesy because it's like, they're setting up character building because of the two characters that are in the survivors. And that's not a spoiler, that's in the trailer. So, but it's a good movie. It's fun. Like I said, I went as a matinee, like 9. I went like 12 in the afternoon. It was like $9. So I was like, it was worth it for me. Would I go
Yeah,
and pay like primetime tickets? And no, I wouldn't do that. If you don't want to go to the theater, I would definitely wait for streaming to come out. It's worth streaming on your couch. I think it's fun dinosaur movie, but is it like the best thing in the world? No, but a popcorn flick just to kind of turn your
yeah.
brain off. It is good.
Then I read the next one that Bobby said, and I totally forgot about that. I'm like, oh yeah, just give me something ridiculous. Like, oh yeah, Brie Larson's in it. Oh god, there's gonna be some cringe scene about her taking back the power, and
That or you'll see her feet everywhere. I don't know, but well, you
oh
might like that.
no, 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 we are not. No, that is not a thing.
Oh, John. Yeah, I did hear John Wick was almost 3 hours long.
Yes.
That or was 3 hours for sure. I'm pretty sure it breaks the 3 hour mark. I wasn't, but yeah, I've been up in the air. Like I said, I saw 2 and 3 again because I haven't seen them in a really long time. Not a fan of either of them, but hey, people are loving it. A lot of people obviously want more of it. Again, I didn't really care for the latest Scream movie either. I didn't think it was that good. It could have been really good, but
And again,
that killed it at the box office.
we have to give the caveat that when we say we don't like them, it's still I like them way better than the other Hollywood crap. So this is on it's like it's on the it's not on the level of the original, but
Yeah.
it's like I would still watch it. It's just when I compare it of like, okay, well, this sucks. It doesn't suck on the way that the other Hollywood movies suck. Like there's such a big difference in the degrees when I'm talking about how it's bad. And I think that goes for you as well.
Yeah. And Night Ronin says, I thought it was going to be long, but it didn't feel like it. That is a good thing. When you do have a very long movie, but it flies by, that means that at least for you, the movie did its job. Because when I sit through a movie and I'm like, oh my God, is this over yet? I can't remember what movie it was, but I felt like it had 3 different endings. I was like, oh my God, please end already.
Avatar, The Way of
I didn't
Water.
know. I did not go see Avatar. There's no way I was spending money on that. Not a chance.
I did hear from someone else that they were looking at their watch. And like they said there is a good 30 minutes that don't play any part. Now I haven't seen it, so I can't say yes. It's just what I was told. They told me without giving any spoilers, just because they're like, I think I'm the only one that doesn't like the new John Wick. And he gave me very reasonable reasons why, and that's all I know about it.
Yeah. David just says he just found out he's got Apple TV for free from T-Mobile for half a year. I don't know if there's anything worth a damn. Yeah, that's what Bobby's saying. So if you have Apple TV, try Ted Lasso. That was actually funny. I've heard good things about it, but I don't know anything on Apple TV. I know they're starting and trying to come out with more of their own content, original movies. So I would use it while you can. Check out what's on there, but just just make sure you turn off, because what they do is they give you half a year free, hope you forget it, and then they start charging you, because they tried to do that to me a long time ago. And I was like, nope, I'm not getting caught with that. So
I did hear there was another really good show on Apple TV. It's like Succession or something like that. And it's about a guy going into work, but when you go in, you don't remember anything. So it's like they control your memories when you're inside, and then you get all your regular memories back when you're outside. So you don't know what's gonna, like, you don't remember anything when you're outside of work. And
Twitter headquarters now with Elon Musk taking over. I could see him doing something crazy like that.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, let's jump to the next topic, and actually you can plug something of yours. So this is everyone's favorite topic, Star Wars. We have to talk about Star Wars, because it wouldn't be a Common Idiot stream without it. Now, Yeti, I will admit, I haven't seen you did a roast on The Mandalorian, haven't you?
Son of a bitch.
I know, I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. I watched the other roast you did, which was really good. But if you guys don't know, and you're not new, or you're new to Yeti's channel, links in the description. Yeti, if you want to throw it in the chat, go check out Yeti's channel. He does roast videos. They're hilarious. And he just recently did one on The Mandalorian, which is rightfully done, I would imagine, because I know I quit watching this show.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just kind of got tired of it. I watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes. I don't even know what they're up to now. The last one I saw was when she saved him from, or no, what was it? Yeah, she saved him from falling in the pit, I think. And she saw the mythosaur, whatever.
I think that was 2.
Was that the 2? Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. They kind of all blend together in suckage. It is, oh my God, this show. And they're on to 5 now. So the 5th episode, and I didn't want to watch this, but then I saw that stupid clip of like Baby Yoda, like,
I saw that
jumping in the air. I'm like, okay, fine. I gotta start doing my roasts again. So let's start with like this. And I did the roast of half the season, and honestly, I don't want to see anything more, because it was beyond bad. It was unbearable.
Yeah, I watched a couple of it. I saw that same clip you were talking about. I talked about it on my last week's live stream. I think it was last week, where he was that really bad, him doing the front flip and then the back flip. And I mean, I don't know, man. Look, if you are someone out there that likes a show, I'm glad somebody does enjoy it, because I don't like crapping on stuff that people like, right? But personally, it's just not for me anymore. Star Wars is just so burnt out, and just bad. I can't anymore.
I mean, uh, I always say, or try to say, at least I did in the last one, is like, just because I don't like something doesn't mean you can't.
no,
Like,
of course.
we'll
Yeah.
have difference of opinions. I'm sure there's a ton of movies that that I like and I know are garbage, but I still like them. I'm still gonna watch, and it doesn't take away from your own enjoyment. But with that being said, this is the worst garbage on TV.
Oh, I know. Uh, yeah, I did hear. Now, I will say this: I've heard a lot of people rumblings. I haven't seen any reviews on it yet, but I did hear that the last episode was much better.
I
But
heard it was
again,
worse.
oh, I heard it was a lot better. I heard the last episode was the best one so far. The problem is, though, what episode was it?
5.
5 out of what, 8?
I think so.
So you're almost done with the
Yeah,
season,
and nothing's happening.
and
Nothing
nothing's going
happened.
on.
No,
It's very strange.
it's meandering all over the place, and like, the thing that we get it. Part of me be like, okay, maybe this will bring me back if like Baby Yoda becomes some badass Mandalorian, and he's like hunting people while using the Force at the same time. But then he can't be a baby anymore. You can't tell that story when he's a freaking baby.
Yeah, that was the thing, and I've made this argument before. They needed, and a lot of us understand, even the ones that are black pilled and hate Disney stuff. They needed to get rid of Grogu. He needed to go away, but they were too scared because they needed that marketing machine. They needed that money making machine. But even the people that were all about Grogu or Baby Yoda, whatever the hell you want to call him, they're tired. I feel like most people are tired of him, and they're not going to keep buying merch of him anymore. Unless, like, how much of the same merch can you buy unless you come out with a Baby Yoda or Grogu that literally is wearing a little Mandalorian helmet? Like, unless you like some variation of him
Yeah.
in a different uniform or armor or whatever, which I would imagine they're gonna
Oh,
go
they started
for.
giving him armor.
Yeah, I heard about that she started.
And I'll tell you this right now. The season is going to end with Baby Yoda being shot in the chest. That's how it's going to end. But he's got his little piece of armor on, and whether or not people remember that by that point, he's gonna get shot in the chest at some point.
Yeah, I would. Well, something bad has to happen to him at some point. And GR said, yeah, that little character was their cash cow. And honestly, the Mandalorian was, as Valiant Renegade, I think, is the one who really kind of coined this term, was their golden goose for Star Wars.
Yes.
Because Star Wars in general, across the board, really doesn't have anything going for it. I mean,
No.
Andor is supposed to be, which I don't agree with, but Andor is supposed to be like the best show that's come out, and no one's watched it. And again, as a lot of people have told me, and I've claimed, I said a long time ago, I think Obi-Wan was going to be the nail in the coffin, and it pissed off a lot of people how they did it, and now they're turning their back on it. So it's like, what do you have going forward besides the Mandalorian? Nothing. They have nothing. They have zero idea on how to handle this. And if anything, they're really digging their claws further using this show to point everything towards the Disney sequels. They're just doing more and more, which is only pissing people off, and they're ruining, because a lot of people had hope, right? That they're like, oh, well, the Mandalorian really doesn't tie into it, so I can appreciate it on its own thing. But now they keep shoehorning all this stuff in that's Disney, Star Wars related, and I feel like people are checking out.
I'm trying to think of when I actually did check out of Star Wars, because I definitely did after The Last Jedi, but then Mandalorian season 1 came out, and after, I don't know, 6 months or something, I gave it a shot. I'm like, oh, okay. It started to bring me back in, because there was a lot of things that I really enjoyed about season 1. Like it felt like they're using props properly. It was practical effects, and it reminded me more of the world of Star Wars, and so I started getting brought in. And then season 2 happened. So it had to be after season 2. I think it might have been the Book of Boba Fett, where
Oh yeah,
after you see Boba Fett on The Mandalorian, they just throw away all of his character, and it's just some middle-aged guy in a tub telling other people what to do for him. He doesn't he's not Boba Fett anymore. I'm like, okay, well, screw this.
Yeah,
There's nothing.
No, it's just again, if people are enjoying it and liking it, that's fine. But when you got shows like Outer Banks, Murdaugh Murders, A Southern Scandal, The Last of Us,
But
NCIS beating out something from Star Wars, I'm sorry, I don't care. We're talking about Star Wars, one of the greatest IPs of all time, and it's getting beaten by The Last of Us. I'm sorry. First off, I didn't really think The Last of Us was that good. Secondly,
No.
the fact that
I
The
also
Last of
roasted
Us, yeah, Yeti did a good. That's the one that I saw, but you did a
Yeah.
really good job on that one. But yeah, the fact that any of these shows are beating The Mandalorian, a Star Wars series, is really just shows you where the franchise is right now. I mean, it's just garbage. People
Well, they're
checked out.
shooting themselves in their own foot every single time. Every single time there's a new series, they put a bunch of bullshit into it, and then it kills interest in every other property behind it. Like,
Yeah, it's all filler.
Boba Fett, and then Obi-Wan, and I watched. Okay, so I did watch the first 3 episodes of Andor, and I really enjoyed it. But then I stopped watching because I just didn't care about Star Wars. I'm like, oh, this has got, they're slow playing, they're building all these things. It's like a grounded, down to earth level view of Star Wars, of the Empire, like of that type of thing. But I just didn't care after really enjoying the first 3 episodes. I stopped watching.
Yeah, the problem is, it's like with Star Wars now, everything is this big overarching story that nobody cares about. If they just did some, like, I think one-off things, just one-off movies that didn't tie into this big giant adventure that leads to 5 different other movies, you would have more success at things like that, because there's not that much weight into them. You could still do a decent story. Like, again, something like the X-Wing movie they were going to do with Patty Jenkins, right? I know that's all. Yeah, without her, take her out of it. But that idea of doing something like that, just kind of a pilot movie,
Top Gun, but with X-Wings.
Perfect.
Sold. Like
something simple that it doesn't have to get too grounded in. It doesn't have to be too over the top. Just something simple in the Star Wars universe. Show us some TIE fighters. Show us some good action scenes. Give us some good story, a little bit of story building, like character development, not crazy. You don't have to go too wild about it. Keep it like an acronym that they taught us in the Marine Corps. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. That's all you gotta do. Keep it simple. Just very, very simple. I mean, it's not that difficult. And again, even if they don't have these ideas, there are EU books that they could pull from if they wanted to, and they can literally go page by page, pull it right from the books, and they can do stories like that. But they ruined it. They decided not to, and here we are. So
yeah, well, if they did, they'd be admitting failure.
Oh, well, yeah. And that's the thing. Well, they don't need to admit failure anymore. Things like this are showing the failure because they can't hide from it anymore. There was also another report that they said Lucasfilm going forward cannot do anything else but Star Wars. Like that's what they've been given. Like, you don't focus on Indiana Jones, because they were supposed to be doing apparently a Disney Plus movie, a show for that. They said everything is just Star Wars now. You do not focus. Willow, that was a part of the reason why they got rid of Willow, besides the bad reviews and everything, and it's sucking.
Okay, but that's not going to change the fact that they're hiring terrible writers for every single one of these shows. Like,
speaking of terrible writers, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but that's the point. It's not that they're putting their focus on other properties like Willow. It's that they're shoving garbage into it with people that can't write a good show. They're like turning it into propaganda, and just shoving identity politics into everything that they're doing, and you can't write around that. It doesn't build up a story.
Well, but here's another, and I agree with you 100%. But also, you have this clown, and you also have Jon Favreau that are writing The Mandalorian, and it's garbage. And you know what? I will say this: unless I've missed it from the things that I've saw in The Mandalorian, I didn't see a lot of identity politics in The Mandalorian.
Oh,
I just see really bad writing,
which I don't that confuses me, because the first 3 episodes of season 1 were so good. I don't know what happened.
Well, because this is my opinion. They're shoehorned and they back themselves into a corner using Grogu. They can't tell the story that they want to because they have to include everything with Grogu. When you put an artist in a box and you say you can only work within these bounds, you're stuck.
Well, yeah, season 1 should have just involved getting him just the delivery, and then you can move on to
exactly
something else in season 2. But you set something finite on season 1, and it has to close an arc, because that's what it looked like it was doing in the first 3 episodes.
Remember,
it was very much plot driven, and then it became a creature of the week.
That like exactly
thing.
Like we kept it. Remember the same thing, like keeping it simple with the fighter pilot movie.
Yeah,
same thing. Just give us a series on a bounty hunter going on bounty hunter missions every single week. That's it. That's so simple.
But pick that from the start.
Yes,
because that would have worked with what you set up in season 1, like for the first 3 episodes.
Well, they could have, like season 2, how they handed off Grogu to Luke, right? He can go back to doing these type of missions where he's a bounty hunter, but as he's doing these missions, they can still in the background you can kind of see, okay, there's a growing force, like the Empire is not officially gone, and they could have still done their overarching looming thing in the background while he's going on these missions. You know what I mean? Like if he's going after a target and that target happens to stumble upon the First Order or whatever the hell they're leading to, you could do that and keep it simple. And then he can eventually run back. You know, how much more impactful would it have been if Grogu was gone all this season? You didn't see him at all. And then all of a sudden next season, he runs into him. That would have been like, you would have been like, oh man, look, it's Grogu. Let's see how he's changed. Everyone would have been excited for that. Now everyone's disgusted by seeing that little booger walking around nonstop. It's like, I am so tired of seeing that little gurgling idiot. Just get him off of screen and do something different. But nope, they can't. They're stuck.
Yeah, it ran its course, especially with they shot themselves in the foot by like saying he's 50. Like okay, I know they live long, but if you're a little baby for that long, I don't think your species is going to survive. Honestly,
I don't know.
You know,
he would have been. Yeah, it would have been dead.
With the parents, the parents can't take care of a little baby shitting himself for 50 years.
Well, again, and I think this guy right here, the quote unquote savior of Star Wars, this guy is the problem. This guy is, I've never liked Dave Filoni. I think he's a hack. I think he's one of those that when George Lucas was there, he was all about George Lucas's vision. Now that he's gone and Kathleen Kennedy's involved, now he's a yes man company guy. That's all he is. If the company says we're going to go this route, he's going to, okay, as long as I can push Ahsoka because I'm a weirdo about her, fine. I don't that's what he is, dude. He's a joke. He's a clown. I mean, why would you insert yourself into the show? Did you see this?
Oh no,
this is him in the last episode, apparently, chapter 21, The Pirate. And he put himself in the show. Can you see that really well?
Yeah, I can see that. Like, that's something I don't care. I don't care that much about.
I do. Because this
really?
Is just,
you're writing or you're a part of it, and so you put a small cameo. Quentin Tarantino does that in like every single one of his films.
Yeah, but it's
not a big deal,
and he's good. Dave Filoni's not. Look at him.
I know. So, but
it
doesn't change the way I approach it. Like, okay, this one guy does it, I'm fine with it. This guy's trash. I'm still fine with him putting himself at the bar, like as long as he's not one of the main actors that that's part of the show. If he's in the shot, okay, whatever. He gets one line, cool.
My thing is though he should be focused more on writing since it sucks so bad than
Oh
putting
my God,
himself
yes.
in the damn show. Like
I mean, I don't disagree with that.
That's what I'm saying. Like Quentin Tarantino is good at what he does. That's why he is who he is,
Yeah.
and that's why he's so successful. This guy is a coattail riding loser, and he doesn't deserve to be in it. He's only doing it because he knows he can. So again, I have a major problem with him, and the fact that he's inserting himself into it and he wants to continue. Like, I don't know, man. I think he is part of the problem. Even not even just Dave Filoni, but also what's his name? The other one, the other showrunner.
Oh God, how Favreau, Jon
Favreau. He's just as bad.
I was expecting so much more from him, and this is what I don't know. It is the result of his writing going downhill because after the success of season 1, Kathleen Kennedy like started putting all her fingers all over the show, and like Lucasfilm demanded all these different aspects out of him, or like is that tying his hands so then it just looks like he's a bad writer? Because I mean, he did fairly good before, right?
He did, but they were both somewhat involved in Book of Boba Fett too. If you remember a lot of those,
good.
Yeah, Dave, like Jon Favreau wrote a lot of Book of Boba Fett. People were like, "Oh,
like I don't understand." Then how do you go? Okay, he must have had a writing partner previously then, and then he's like, "Oh, I could do this myself."
I don't know, man. I mean, sometimes you get really good at stuff and then you fall off. I mean, you have some, for example, golfers that are the best in the world, and then 2 years later they're the worst. I mean, it happens. But real quick, let me get this super chat. Night Ronin, question for you, Yeti. $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. I greatly appreciate it. Question for you, Yeti. Have you seen the Old Republic game trailers, and do you think they are better than Disney Star Wars?
Well, the Knights of the Old Republic, if that's what you mean, those were incredible. Like the ones way back in the day from BioWare, those were some of my favorite action RPGs.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, because I know they made an MMO version of it, and I never got into that.
Are you talking about Star Wars Galaxies?
No, it was I think it was just called the Old Republic. So it was basically based on the first two properties, but in an MMO. And I never got into that because like I wasn't that big into MMOs.
Oh yeah. There was the Star Wars The Old Republic MMO. The MMO that I'm talking about was called Galaxies, and it didn't last very long, but that was actually fun. But
the Old Republic has been around for a long time.
Yeah, I never got to play the Old Republic games. I always wanted to. I think that might be something that I would probably stream one day if like I want to get into game streams and stuff.
For long games.
Yeah, I've heard really. It says the trailer is named Deceived. So
okay, is that something we could just like watch or what?
I don't know. I probably would get hit.
Okay.
With copyright, because you know how this goes on. What do you call it?
Oh yeah, YouTube I know here.
But I'll check it out. I've seen this video. The cinematic trailer for the Old Republic Deceived. Oh, I can guarantee you right now that this is way better than anything Disney Star Wars, my friend. That's not even a question. That is not even yeah, I've seen that trailer, and that's a badass trailer. You have to check it out, Yeti.
Okay.
But I gotta play this because as always, I know he likes this one, and I love this one more as much as I love the other one. But this one's for you, Philip. Thank you again for the super chat, my friend. I greatly appreciate it. But this is what Rian Johnson did Star Wars.
Story that had no end. I give.
Sorry. I love that one so much.
It's very accurate.
Oh yeah, when I saw that clip and I was trying to make some stuff, I was like, "That is perfect," and it was Rian Johnson that really just pushed it over the edge. So that, and you did hear that his trilogy is officially canceled, right? You heard that?
I wasn't sure if that was a legitimate source because I didn't see any big places covering it. It was like some obscure news place that I had never heard of. Like, okay, is this just clickbait like we've seen 100 times in the last 10 years? Maybe it's not 10 years, but you know what I mean.
Well, I
So
know it was a lot of like, you know how earlier when you said the Alonzo information, like they don't actually direct their own stuff. It was really in that sense, like they just officially confirmed it. It's like we all knew that the Rian Johnson trilogy was not
why
going to be
wasn't
coming
that
through.
reported elsewhere? Like, because I just saw it from that one source.
I'm
The
pretty
one
sure it was a couple other places.
because I went looking for it because it was something like I was going to share, and I just saw I couldn't find any reputable place talking about it. It was just that the one site I'd never heard of.
I don't know. I see a couple others here, but again, I don't know. Empire Online. I don't know, but I Screen Rant said something in May of 2022. Who knows? But I think it's safe to say it's never happening. I mean, they don't even know what they're doing next, or they're supposed to be announcing it next, aren't they? Like the next movies. Supposedly, they're supposed to be coming out with some type of update on what movies are coming out next for Star Wars, but
Haven't they canceled every movie that they announced
they've
previously?
canceled more. Yeah, more people have been hired and fired to write and direct than anything they've put out since. So I don't know. And let's see. Bobby says here, but KK had them rewrite what Jon Favreau wrote. John walked off set and went and started
Started
working with
working.
on the Ahsoka series. Yeah, I don't know if a lot of that. I mean, that could be true. Couldn't. Who knows, man? I don't know. I know I've heard a lot of that stuff where KK gets involved and changes things and everything. I look at it, my opinion, and this may not be a popular opinion. If I'm Jon Favreau and I did a really good, successful 1 and 2, and KK jumps in, starts altering things and everything, if I don't have the freedom that I feel I need to finish what's got my name on it, I'm walking away, regardless. Because at the end of the day, where a lot of people are upset with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni because they're not doing because their name's on the product.
Yeah.
Even though KK is, their names are saying writers and directors and everything else.
Yeah.
So if you're going to come in and tamper with something that I'm doing, I'm done. I'm walking away because you're not going to tarnish my name because that's what they're doing. So I can only assume that they are part of the problem until they go, you know what? And they don't have to come out and say like, yeah, it's her fault. Screw her. I don't expect
Yeah.
that. They never will. But they could just say, you know what? I'm stepping away from Star Wars. I have other obligations, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Or the classic creative differences.
Yep.
And it ends there.
Which we've seen time and time again from some directors and people who are assigned to do these movies and whatnot.
Yeah. And it makes sense. Like, I think I'd be with you, especially at this point with because I think his name has definitely fallen. When the first season came out, it's like, oh, Jon Favreau, like, oh, he's amazing. Now it's like, oh God, what's he doing now? Like his name has been tarnished.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't see it getting any time or better anytime soon. And again, right now, I have no desire to watch Star Wars. Usually I'm all about reviewing them and just laughing at them, but I just don't find it. I don't even find it funny anymore, man. I just don't have the time to. I'm glad you're doing a roast of it because at least you're back into it. I'm glad you're doing your videos and you're, continuing doing what you're doing, but I just do not care. I can't sit through the dribble and then I just feel like I feel like it's Groundhog's Day. Like I'm saying, yep,
Yes.
the show sucks. It's the same thing. I'm just like, I can't do it. So
I'm with you. And oh God, I was gonna say it had to do with your other point. Oh yeah. what you said earlier, just have the one-off movies or shows that aren't tied into the larger story. Like we know that story, but this is an entire universe.
Mm-hmm.
Why does everything have to come back to the
Luke.
trilogy?
Yeah.
Yes, or their sequel. There is so much. You have the Force, and you've got aliens, you've got spaceships and lightsabers.
Yeah.
Do something with that. Tell something else. Go to the opposite side of the galaxy and
Work
show us
around like
something.
in the underground, like do under like I think they were gonna do that a long time ago, a show about like Jabba's underground, like the spice trade and smugglers and all
Sure.
that stuff. Do that. Do a smuggler that's kind of like an anti-hero where he's not rebellion, but he's also not imperial, or it's after the fact and the rebels are running the show and they're fighting against, they're shooting the republic, like they're anti-republic. Like do something like that. That'd be so cool.
Or go into the past. Go into the
Yep.
past where it's not related to anything in the present. Because you could there's still lightsabers have been around for God knows how many 100,000 years, whatever, like
Yeah.
it seems like it's been there forever. So you still have lightsabers and you can go far back enough where it doesn't matter what story you're telling to affect the original trilogy. Like you don't
David
have to
says.
connect it.
Yeah, like David says here, take stories from the Knights of the Old Republic.
Yes.
The Old Republic. Boom, right there.
Yep.
And so I know Acolyte. Have you heard stuff about that coming out? That they have one of those intimacy coordinators on the
Oh
show.
God, why? This is Star Wars. Like this isn't supposed to be Game of Thrones. Just have a lightsaber and some force choke. Okay, well, I guess maybe I'm seeing where the intimacy coordinator comes in. Force choke me harder.
Oh my God.
Come on, you know the Jedi's got in trouble for force choking each other. That's why they're like, okay, we can't have any relationships because this is getting a little out of hand.
Technically, that's what Anakin did. He choked his wife too much.
So they got a little too kinky. They had to go. It's like, okay, maybe we can't mix these two things anymore.
So I want to shift the next topic. No, that was funny. So yes, if you guys haven't seen it, Bobby, Jesus, good God. I was reading Bobby's thing. Yeti has done a roast on, now when you're roast on The Mandalorian, what episode are you up to when you did that?
4. It was the first 4 episodes.
So are you going to do the next 4 once it's completed, like the second half of the season?
God, I don't want
got to now.
I don't.
You can't do
really,
half the season.
Oh my no! God, I don't. I really don't want to, man.
You got to.
Oh,
you can't do half a
season. It was so bad.
Yeah, but it's content, my friend. But if you guys haven't seen it, like I said, go check out Yeti's channel. He does the roast of the first half of The Mandalorian, and I haven't seen it yet. I'm guilty of that. I apologize, Yeti. I've been trying to catch up on like Pops's channel, his videos, a couple others that I'm, Justin, I've been trying to watch his videos.
And I just released my review and roast of Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves, and I think that's like one of my best roasts that I've done. But there's like 20 people that have watched that so far, which kind of hurts because the Mandalorian one is way more popular. Like, God, does that mean I got to do the other 4 episodes?
Yeah, as Night Ronin here says, Yeti, you can't leave a job undone. You got to finish it. Now, shifting gears, which I'm glad you brought up because I was going to bring it up. How did you saw Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
What did you think of that? Because I've heard some people said it's actually not that bad, even though it's got a lot of bad press around it. How they said that they kind of crapped all over the main characters and all that stuff. What did you think about it?
Like, okay, I think it's a popcorn flick. Like, it's fun. There's kind of the cringy moments. I didn't really see the offensive emasculation of the protagonist. If anything, it related more to um, the female character being the barbarian, which is
Mm,
fine, because in Dungeons and Dragons, you've got male and female barbarians that can do that stuff. Whatever,
yeah.
it's not like Dungeons and Dragons isn't grounded in reality. So, um,
It's not out of the normal possibility that that's actually a thing.
yeah, so because the barbarians have super strength, and what seems to happen is the main character is the bard, and so when they're in trouble, you'd have the barbarian be more front and center doing stuff, but he doesn't get like dumped on really. It's not that, oh, he's just not the guy who's fully saving the day. They've
Yeah.
got their group, and um there's a really, really fat dragon in it. And I thought that was hilarious. And I think I've got a full minute or like 2 minutes of me just cracking fat dragon jokes, which I really, really like. I could have done way more of those, but I left in my favorites.
Now, would you recommend going to see that, or is that a stream worthy
Um,
movie?
I don't know.
Real quick,
It
I'm
was
sorry.
fun.
Alan, thank you, my friend, for stopping by and hanging out. You have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll talk very, very soon. But thanks for hanging out, my friend. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. That's totally fine.
So what do you think? Is it worth going to the theater, or is it a stream movie, or sailing the seven seas to watch?
I think it's worth it. Like, I know it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's not trying to be. It's just an enjoyable story with people that have got like magic and swords, and like I think you're gonna have a good time.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna sit down and have fun. So I I would suggest going to see it. Definitely see it streaming though. Like that's 100%.
Okay. So yeah,
Um,
it's not a theater worthy movie. It's more of a streaming movie.
no, I'm saying see it either way, but 100% see it on streaming because you don't really have to worry about the cost as much on streaming.
Gotcha.
Um, Now, depending on how much you want to see it, like it's I think it's pretty worth it. Um, I guess I'm having a hard time saying it because I know it's a lot more fun. It's not like say Top Gun Maverick. Like
Yeah.
I thought that was like, oh my god, that was amazing. That was that
Sure.
was so
Yeah,
good.
that's a different caliber of movie. Yeah.
Yes. So I could easily say, go see that in theaters right now. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. If
Yeah,
you
it
got a
sounds like
family,
it sounds like
know?
65. Kind of like
Yeah.
if you want to go to a matinee, it's fun to just get out of the house, whatever. Would I spend
Yes.
prime time money on the tickets to see it? Probably not, but it's still enjoy if you're bored
But
and you
if
want to
you
go to a
do,
movie. Yeah.
but if you do, I don't think you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
Like if you go in prime time, I still think you're gonna enjoy it, especially if you like that type of genre. It's not Lord of the Rings. Although, okay, it's way better than the Rings of Power, like a
Well,
million times better.
I'm sure
But
your roasts are probably better than that. But hail Vader fanatic, my friend. Hope you were doing well. Glad you could stop by and hang out. Now another movie that's coming out next week that I will absolutely, for sure, 100% be going to or going to see and be doing a review on is Super Mario. That movie looks so much fun.
that looks really good.
Cannot wait. I'm going opening day, probably in the afternoon if I can sneak away to go see it, because I want to watch that movie as soon as possible. It looks like a ton of fun. So I'm definitely going to go see that. But one movie I wanted to bring up that we found out more news on, which I'm not that excited about, but when I heard the villain, I was like, So, what did you think of the Batman?
Still haven't seen it.
Good. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm not a fan of the Batman. I don't know. It started off really, really strong. Chat, let me know if you liked or enjoyed the Batman with Robert Pattinson. It started off good. The first scene and second scene, or sections of the movie, really good. The third kind of ending of the movie fell off very, very poorly, like really, really bad. But I did hear that the newest villain that they've reported for the upcoming Batman 2 is going to be Clayface. Now, a lot
That
of
sounds
us,
interesting.
yes, a lot of us have talked about this for a very, very long time, how we want a Clayface movie. I'm stoked about hearing about it. I'm obviously skeptical, but I love the idea of a Clayface movie. But it's got to be, listen, I'm going to get your thoughts in a second. In my opinion, if they're going to do a Clayface movie, it's got to be more horror element. It's got to have that horror element for this movie to be pulled off. What do you think about this news and if it will work?
My only concern, I guess, is how well. I haven't seen the Batman, and I know it's because I just got burnt out on all the superhero stuff, and plus all of them seem to be getting worse and worse, and so I didn't bother seeing this. Uh, but out of what I've seen, they seem to be like way more grounded in kind of the reality. So it's like Christopher Nolan's Batman, you wouldn't see Clayface there. So you'd have to go in more to the fantasy elements of Batman, and have they set that up properly in order to like have Clayface in there?
I mean, I don't really think it's fantasy elements because of how, like, if Clayface's origin, then and this article even kind of specifies there's two notable versions of Clayface from the comics. It says the first whom is Matthew Hagen, a treasure hunter that interacts with a radioactive pool of protoplasm and turns into a clay-like substance.
Yeah,
and then
but
there's
he's still shape change. Here, I'll let you finish before I.
no, yeah, and then it says the original version known as blah blah blah, and then obviously the other version would come from the animated series. But I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying, like the shape changing and whatnot, but I don't think that's really the fantasy aspect of it. I mean, we're in a comic
I
book
just
world.
mean not. It's not like the Joker, where the Joker was just a guy. He was just a guy with a messed up face. Right.
So that's how they have him in this movie as well, because there is a scene in the Batman with the Joker.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is you need to set up being able to have radioactive material mutating someone, right? In order to, instead of just having a guy that ends up getting cancer, which is what would happen if you interact with radioactive material. You're not going to get the Ninja Turtles. The turtles die. So that's a fantasy. When I say fantasy element, I mean taking that and being able to introduce that type of thing into the world without it looking ridiculous when everyone else is kind of grounded. Riddler's just a guy who's smart, right? Doesn't have any special abilities.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the same thing with like Two-Face. He just got poison on his face and you know what I mean?
But Clayface is way above that, like, because he could change shapes.
But what other character is that obscure that you could think of when it comes to Batman besides the human bat? Because the Joker, just because you fall in the toxins and you go crazy, that because Jack Nicholson's wasn't like that.
Yeah, he was still grounded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, you could still, I think, pull this off easily without having a setup. I mean, it would just have to depend on just kind of like how they did it with Sandman and Spider-Man.
Yeah, but Spider-Man's already introduced that fantastic element because he got bit by a spider and gained all these powers. Batman made a suit and started training, right? And they've left it at that and haven't really gone beyond those aspects. Like,
but what other characters do you have in Batman to justify that anyway? Is what I'm trying to like. There's no other way of doing it. That's how they did it in the comics. He just got poured on, and he became Clayface. Like he got exposed to this stuff, and poof. There's
a bunch, but I'm failing to say any of their names. Damn, I'm blanking out hard.
Yeah, like the
on
Penguin's not a penguin. He's
No,
just a
no,
mobster.
and that's kind of my point, that these things are way more grounded, and so it's going to be difficult to set it up in a believable way and not look ridiculous, since they've
I don't know. The
never.
Riddler is pretty fucking ridiculous. And that was grounded. They
Okay.
took the grounded approach, and he looked like he was in a gimp costume. Did you see his final?
Yeah, it looked
Yeah, it looked
ridiculous.
retarded. Like it
Yes.
was absolutely horrendous. And then he was a YouTuber, and it was stupid.
But again, that goes back to the point that I was making, that they set the world to be so grounded that, yeah, he went and bought a gimp mask from some sex shop and made that his outfit, instead of having, crazy abilities to build a suit. So how do you pull off somebody who can actively transform out of clay, right?
Yeah, I don't know. But they're gonna have to, because I
But
mean,
here, give me your take on this, because you've been asking me, and you actually saw the movie, and I'd love to hear.
I think
your
they
thoughts.
just do how the comics set it up. He just gets exposed to whatever, and then if the CGI is done correctly and they make it look realistic, and if they make it look horror aspect, like that's how we watch horror movies, right? Like Freddy Krueger and Jason and all, and those are old by the way,
Yeah,
but even newer stuff, it's grounded because of the way it's portrayed and done, even in a realistic world. It's just it has to be done and executed properly. Do I have faith in them executing anything properly? No,
yeah,
not at
yeah.
all. But a lot of these horror movie aspects have ridiculous things to them, but if they're portrayed in the right way, it is believable. Like again, Chucky and things of that nature. They did a good job pulling off Chucky back in the 80s,
Yeah.
and it was grounded enough. So again,
But
it just
no,
has
no,
to
but
have
that
the
was
realistic.
set up. That, like, because
How did it?
it was set up from the start, that was possible. It opens with the voodoo scene. You've never had any of that type of thing happen in a Batman movie. Not in a live action Batman movie.
So what you're saying is that there's no way they can ever do Clayface and it not be done correctly?
No, I'm not saying, like, I just think you have to be able to set it up so that you're the suspension of disbelief doesn't go too far.
I think if they do it, but that's what I'm saying. It's got to be done realistic and gritty, not kiddie and stupid.
Oh, you definitely have to. Yeah,
That's why I said the horror
horror
element of it. It's got to be, yeah, it's got to be a horrific transformation. You got to see, it's got to be gritty. It's got to be nasty. It's got to be, again, like almost a horror element aspect to it for it to be believable.
But this would be very interesting, because then it would open up to a whole host of other Batman characters, so we don't see the same ones over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Because I know there are a lot of out there characters, and I'm just failing on the words, but characters that aren't grounded in
Like Calendar
current.
Man, all kinds of other
Yeah.
ones that they can do, which I fully 100% support, because I'm tired of seeing the same freaking people over and over again. Now, I also saw reports that this wasn't going to be in the. I think these have already been debunked, that this was going to be in James Gunn's Batman and not the Batman 2. But apparently, this is going to be in Matt Reeves' Batman, because all about the DC overhaul and how there's going to be two different Batmans. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that Batman was officially changing too.
What do you mean changing?
As in, so after Matt Reeves' Batman, it's just rebooted for James Gunn.
Well, it's going to be running at the same. This is going to be considered Elseworlds. So you're going to have two Batmans at the same time, but this one will not be in the James Gunn's universe. This will be Elseworlds, kind of like up here, and then you're going to have all James Gunn stuff down here. So
God, that seems like a bad. A
That's
bad
what I
choice.
well, and that's what that was the whole argument and issue with the whole reboot anyway, right? Because they said they wanted to start fresh and start new, and they didn't want to confuse the fans. And
Yeah.
but then they went and did the Elseworlds things. That's why you have like the Joker, for example, Joaquin Phoenix's. That's all Elseworlds. That has nothing to do with James Gunn's universe that he's creating. That's going to live on its own little island up here doing its own thing. So
that was working before they started dropping sequels to it. Because
yeah.
that was so easy to just like, oh yeah, this is its own contained story. It's got nothing to do with anything else. And that was it.
I am not looking forward to that sequel at all. The more I hear about it, it just sounds worse and worse. The Joker sequel.
Yeah. I don't think it needs a sequel anyways.
Well,
like
they made tons of money. Of course it needs a sequel. That's the whole thing with John Wick. It's making money. So it's like, well, we got to capitalize and squeeze this sponge.
And
but
they took the wrong thing from that. It's like, oh, they did an original take that wasn't tied to everything else, and people loved it. So it was a one and done. So find something else one and done. And I've been saying for the longest time, do something with Mr. Freeze. Like do an origin story outside of him fighting Batman, because he is a very interesting character.
There's a great comic. It's a graphic novel just called Joker, and it's basically from the aspect and perspective of one of Joker's henchmen when he gets out of Arkham, and they're following the henchman around while Joker's kind of making his rounds. And it's really interesting because it's like they're telling the perspective from him, and they're talking about the Batman, right? Like he runs into the Penguin, he runs into the Joker, Harley Quinn, all this stuff, and they're talking about Batman, like he's kind of looming in the background, but he's not there. And then I don't want to spoil it, but the way it ends and everything is beautifully done. It's perfect. I would love to see that kind of stuff. Let's see an origin story or not even an origin story, but like you said, the Joker, or not the Joker, excuse me, like Mr. Freeze, stuff like that, where it's kind of their story, but Batman's kind of around and looming or whatever, and then maybe they run into each other, but it's not a Batman movie, it's a Freeze movie. You know what I mean?
Or you have it as the cameo and the after credit scene where Batman finally shows up because Mr. Freeze becomes Mr. Freeze, but go through how he became, because him and himself could make just a good movie, just being about how this one guy turned to crime, how he was so desperate in order to save the love of his life that he started going down this awful path. It's like, oh my God, yes.
Well, and you bring up a good point, because Mr. Freeze would be another one of those villains that would be interesting to see how they keep that grounded. Like you said, if you're going the realistic, gritty take, how would you ground Mr. Freeze to be realistic and gritty? Because again, think of the suit and everything, right? Like that'd have to be a very grounded thing. And I think it could be done if it's, again, filmed correctly, written gritty, where he's killing people, and, it can be done. It just has to be not cartoonish and childish.
Yeah, it can't go the way of Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, the suit itself, I think you can have essentially grounded anyways, because he made it through the power of science. It's like he was a brilliant scientist, and like he was creating this chemical in order to freeze stuff and all that, all that stuff. And then his freeze ray involves lasers. Like I could see that being grounded easier than Clayface, because it's a radioactive guy that touched clay, and now he's like transforming everywhere, instead of a guy that was hurt in his experiment that now wears an exosuit.
A proper Bane movie would be good too.
Oh yeah, Bane would be good too. God, about him being a luchador, and
or Solomon Grundy. That'd be a hard one.
There's a lot of Batman villains that we need to hear way more about.
Yeah, I know. Bobby says, I don't think they should do that for at least 10 years because Marvel has overdone the trying to make the villain a relatable character. I do agree. It's a little frustrating, the kind of anti-hero movie. They've done that quite a bit. But I wouldn't mind a one-off movie. Not so much maybe an origin story. And I don't think here's the thing. If they did a movie like that, I don't want them relatable. I don't want to root for them. I don't want to, because they've done like, and we've seen movies before where they do like gangster movies, right? Where you don't like them, you know, you don't root for them. You realize like, oh, this is a bad guy. Oh, this is not a good person. I don't want to see this person succeed. So they can do it that way. The problem is that I don't want them relatable because I don't want to root for them. Just like the Joker, in a sense, you feel bad for him in a sense because of his mental health, but then you clearly are like, okay, he's gone. There's nothing we can do, and I'm not a fan of his. Like he's gone too far. You know what I mean? So
yeah, with Mr. Freeze, you would be like, I don't know if you could make him essentially the villain just because of the story, because he's not just a vicious maniac. It's like, oh, he's trying to get precious minerals to save his wife the entire time. Like,
if they do it gritty and right, because yes, say he's trying to save his wife, but he's killing cops in the process, right? Because he's doing robberies because he needs money to work on this thing or to work on the cure, and he's killing cops in the process.
Yeah, I guess so. So you have to really show that descent into madness where it's no longer just
like I don't
about
care
him trying to save, like
it is about him
loves.
trying to. It is it is about saving, but he's also willing to kill, and he doesn't care about anyone else's life, just his wife's. Like that's like where's that's where you're kind of getting in the line is like, well, is that worth it or not? Because if you're killing innocent security guards and people who have families and whatnot to save one person, but you're killing 30, 40, 50 or whatever. You know what I mean?
I also, in my head, I wasn't going down that direction where he's like murdering people. Like the story I had in mind is just that full descent, and you don't really see him becoming like the full Mr. Freeze till like the last 10 minutes type of thing,
I see what you're saying.
So
well,
it's
I don't know. I don't mean of like him murdering people, but if he's, as he's Mr. Freeze, I'm saying if he's stealing and robbing and doing all this stuff, but he's freezing people, if someone's frozen in a block of ice, they're dead. They ain't coming back. Or, they freeze a bridge.
No,
or
but
whatever.
Batman has the frozen heat guns or something.
And his ice skates and his boots.
Yeah.
Remember those?
Oh my God. Yes, I do. That means he always had to have that on him at all times, just in case he was going to go skating. Also, how do they fit in the boots? How do they fit in the boots? They just pop out? How thick are his soles?
I want to show this real quick because I think it's a little bit of a change, and it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But I saw this earlier, and it's hilarious. So I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter. Did you see this marriage proposal?
No.
Okay.
I think so.
So this is a great video, I guess, to represent where Disney and Star Wars is right now. Okay. Just watch this. It doesn't need sound, but just he's proposing he snuck onto the field.
Oh, he snuck on. Okay. Yeah. So he's not allowed.
No, there's a live game.
Oh.
He gets clobbered, absolutely destroyed. Let's watch that one more time.
Oh my God.
What a hit, though. I mean, look at that.
That seems so unnecessary for that guy. He just would have walked up and put his hand on him, and I think it would have been over.
That's hit of the week, though, for sure. Like,
dude, that guy was trying out for the NFL.
Oh yeah, the security guards wait for this for every day. Like they just want this to happen. But man, I feel bad for him. Look, his ring goes flying. the proposal ring. Watch. Oof.
Oh
It's
God,
right over here somewhere. Oh man, that sucks. That really does.
dude, that seems like. I wonder if
Textbook
he would be
tackling.
able, if he would sue them and would be able to
There's
win.
no way. There's
You
no.
don't think, because
Nah.
he wasn't okay, so I get he went on the field. He's not supposed to, but he's clearly like not being one of the guys that's like streaking and trying to touch players. Like he did something stupid and he's trying to propose.
Yeah, but they don't
But
know if in the defense of theirs, like we don't know
yes,
he
they
could
don't
have a
know.
gun. He's close. She could have said no, and he could have lost his mind. Right? Like they have
I
no
mean,
idea what his intentions
I,
are.
I totally get what you're saying too. Where, yeah, if it goes wrong, then you're going to be criticized and sued for not taking him down because he is a threat. Like
Yeah.
he went on the field.
Well, and I know there's policy too when you go on fields, right, or whatever. Like you automatically give up all your right. Like you've violated. Like he's kicked out. I don't think he can
Oh,
ever go
he'll
back
never
to
be
that
there for
park.
life.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like you do stuff like that, you're basically, unfortunately, at their mercy.
Yeah.
So this is the last story that I have to bring up, and it's about reboots gone wrong, as always, which most of them are. But I just want to see what everyone thought of this. I don't know if you heard about this, Yeti.
I heard essentially the title.
Yeah. So obviously, anytime they sell anything with diversity as their selling point, I don't care what it is, it's garbage. Like already, like that's not why shows are good. We all know that by now. But X-Files creator says Ryan Coogler is developing a diverse reboot. Now, I love X-Files. I'm sure you've watched this in the past, correct?
I have. It was one of those things. I haven't seen the full series. I would always start watching it. I'd get so into it, start binging, and then I think several seasons in, like maybe around 4 or 5, it's like, okay, I get a little burnt out, I take a rest, and then I never return. And so I've never got past a certain point.
Oh, I definitely recommend it. I used to love this series as a kid, and this was a great example of a show back then that it had that kind of that overlooming story in the background that popped up every now and then, but then every week it was a different X-File thing. It was a different story. That was good writing, right? That was really cool because they would go on their own little adventures and run into their own little thing. And then sometimes
that's still Monster of the Week.
Yeah,
it's just,
exactly.
It's still a Monster of the Week type of thing. And where like the Mandalorian got it wrong because they set it up being this very plot driven thing at the start and then switched over. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. Monster of the Week has to have that overarching thing that takes the series, takes the season to tell that story. You can't go, oh, here's heavy plot about one thing in particular. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and Bobby says the show already was diverse enough. It had plenty of aliens, monsters, cryptics. I felt we were well represented. I mean, all these shows from back in the day, if you watch freaking 90 shows, Saved by the Bell, there was plenty of diversity around. It's just it's always just these little these ESG checkpoints, check boxes that they have to do. Like if they just said the X-Files they're coming out, they're doing an X-Files reboot. Fine. No one goes, here we go, right? You go, oh, okay, well, let's see what happens. But they have to put that in there just because.
No, here's my question. Is he the one that's like, oh, actively promoting it? Or is it the press? Because this is all they want to hear about. And so they go out and ask the questions like, oh, you're going to make this. Is it going to be diverse? And so then he's got to give a canned response. Because there are people that do that, right? You know, like, oh, okay, we're just going to tell the press what they want to hear, but, you know, come from a good place where, yeah, you could make it diverse. You don't have to talk about it being diverse, but, you know, of course, the press wants to. So, which one is it? Although I also understand, like, I'm so tired about hearing about this every single time. Isn't there something better to talk about in this entire franchise? Like,
so here's the quote. So the new version of X-Files on the horizon from Ryan Coogler, according to the series X-Files, Chris Carter. says, I just spoke to a young man, Ryan Coogler, who is going to remount the X-Files with a diverse cast. So he's got his work cut out for him because we covered so much territory. Carter revealed Monday on the CBC podcast on the coast with Gloria, whatever her name is. So Chris Carter, the one who created X-Files, is the one quoted saying diverse cast. So
See,
that
isn't the worst quote in the world, though. You know, it's not going down that. And I'm trying to look at it from the most fair possible way I can. Like, giving
you're
all
better
the
than
benefits
me.
of the doubt.
You're better than me because I'm not doing that anymore. I'm past that point.
And I totally understand how you're thinking about it. But I'm just hoping, and maybe I'm just a fool for hoping that we're going to get some good media. Like,
yeah, well, back in the 90s when they announced anything, or back in the early 2000s, no one said, "Oh, we're coming out, we're doing this new show, and the cast is going to be so diverse." That wasn't even a thought.
Hollywood wasn't up the ass in the news reports about it, because you can't, like, they're so desperate to get clicks, and you probably wouldn't click the article unless they had this in there, right?
No, this was taken from a quote
during
a podcast.
I know, but if this stuff wasn't in the title, no one would click it.
I understand that, but the fact that he made it a point to say on the podcast it's a diverse cast is where they got that from to create so I can't blame the title. I'm going to blame the creator who made it a point, because back in the day, 10 years ago, he would have just said, "Oh, we're doing an X-Files reboot. It's going to be great. We got a good act. We got a good director, Ryan Coogler. He's going to be in charge of it. It's going to do really good." The fact that he made it very clear, goes, "Oh, with a diverse cast."
Yeah.
He's there purposely. They say these things to check the boxes. So I'm not blaming the Deadline.
I agree with you,
because they're using his comment. So I can't blame Deadline for that.
I don't disagree. I just try to come from I just try to look at it from a different perspective there. But as soon as I see them, like, oh, okay, the show's gonna be crap. The writing's gonna focus on this instead of it just being a guy who is diverse. They're gonna make it about, what he looks like instead of him just being there, instead of him being his own well-rounded character.
Well, what do you mean his own? Ryan Coogler is the writer, or he's going to be directing it, I think. Writing or directing.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, instead of what this makes me think of is when they say diverse cast. So they're going to make the entire show revolve around some sort of mutable characteristic that they constantly focus on, which is going to be terrible. Instead of that character just being a well-rounded character, that they're not discussing some race issue.
Well, yeah, of course.
Sex issue.
Anytime you hear diversity, that's what that means. They're going to have probably, I'm just going to pull out of the list out of a hat here, probably women, which I have no problem with. But of course, they're going to have a front leading woman, probably people of color. You're probably going to have some trans people in there, especially if it's modern day FBI. Of course you are.
Yes.
So probably maybe, who knows, maybe a wheel-bound chair FBI agent. Who knows?
And then the episodes are going to revolve around, like, oh, how difficult is it being a trans lesbian in a wheelchair? Please tell us about that.
Or all the bad guys are going to be white people. That's how they include the diversity in there, is the bad guys are the white people anymore in the shows, because they can't show people of color or women as bad anymore, or they're anti-heroes. So I don't know.
It becomes lazy.
Besides lazy, once again, anytime they sell anything with this in there, I don't care. Because back in the day, there were so many good shows that already were diverse, and you didn't even have to say it. You just sold the show for what it was. All I need to know is, look, this name right here is well known enough. I don't need this to sell anything.
Oh,
right?
The other thing is for a modern audience. I'm like, no, I'm out.
It's for, like I said, ESG scores and all that nonsense. Because I would even say a modern audience doesn't even care about this stuff anymore. I mean, what modern day audiences are bailing on pretty much everything.
Yeah, but they always say for a modern audience, which
Oh,
means
I know.
the exact same thing
For
It's like,
Twitter.
oh, yeah.
For Twitter likes, because that's what the modern audience is.
Yes.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring this. I just thought this was pretty cringe. I was gonna do a video on it earlier in the week, and I was like, I just don't care enough.
Didn't Star Trek just announce that they're trying to do a new show, but for a modern audience? Wasn't their last show for a modern audience, and then everybody bailed on it because it was crap? Isn't that what Discovery is?
I have not covered anything Star Trek. So you probably know way more than I do. I know a lot of people are raving Picard 3. I know even Night Ronin, Philip, he's liked Picard 3.
Yeah, he already knows.
Yeah, Starfleet
right
Academy. There you go. It hasn't come up on my StreamYard yet, but
okay.
Yeah, here you go. Now it popped up. Yeah, I don't know I haven't watched any of it. I have no idea. I've heard really good things. I've heard the back and forth bickering on Twitter between Robert Meyer Burnett and Doomcock. Apparently that was a big blowout thing. I don't know.
I did not want to get involved in that. Like, oh, okay, not so.
Well, I understand some aspects of it from both ends, right? Like, I understand, yes, if they do put out good content, then you should support the good content. But if it's under the guise of like, oh, we're going to do this to kind of shoehorn other stuff in later on down the road. I mean, I get it. I see both perspectives, but I mean, at the end of the day, my opinion on, and I do want to know your opinion of all that. My opinion is we know these Hollywood people hate us. Like,
oh yeah,
it's not like they just started. They've always hated us. It's been that way forever. I don't care if they hate me. If they respect the audience enough to just give us good content, I don't care. Like Seth MacFarlane, for example, isn't he pretty crazy left? I'm pretty sure he's really leaning lefty.
But part of me thinks he might not be as great. Like, I think he's a little crazy for the people, but then you see what he does. Like, okay, no, I think he's a bit more closeted, a normie than he's letting on, because you don't get away with some of that stuff on Family Guy being like just super, he's one of the guys.
Well, a lot of them, yeah, that's the hypocrisy of it. A lot of them that like have the Trump derangement syndrome and have kind of went all lunatic, right? They all have very obscure humor, and they used to all that's why I said it's all kind of fake, because they would all make fun of everybody across the board and it didn't matter. But that's what I mean. Like, even though I don't care about his politics or whatever, but Orville's great. I've watched season 1 and haven't watched season 2 or 3. Love the Orville, and I'm going to keep watching it because I don't really care about his, he's not attacking me in the shows. He's not telling me, you're an Isterophobe or a Yahtzee or whatever. So, hey, it's a good show. I'm going to watch it. But, I
and the writing was nuanced.
Yeah.
Like it was, they went after, but they discussed subject matters in a nuanced way that didn't really, it wasn't going like, oh, this side's wrong, this side's wrong. It was pretty balanced, and so you could go, oh, hey, that opinion's also good, which was what TNG was all about.
Mm-hmm.
And then Discovery comes along and it just shits on everything.
Yeah,
and that was all for a modern audience. But modern audience bailed on watching that show. They don't want anything to do with it. So why aren't they announcing Starfleet Academy saying it's for the modern audience? Because the last time you did that, it was garbage and nobody watched. What makes you think this modern audience is going to watch now?
Well, because, and I guess to Doomcock's point, it's like, oh, well, they saw how well they did with this Picard. So he got re-signed, and now he's got he could do whatever he wants because now he's got you know what I mean? So he's signed on, right? Apparently, or he's He's in there. He's in their good graces now because the ratings are through the roof for Picard 3. So now he can shoehorn his crap back into it. Apparently, that's what I got from those tweets. I don't know. I'm not speaking for obviously Doomcock because I don't know.
Oh, I don't know that situation. I'm not even talking about that situation. I was just referring.
That's what I'm saying. The new stuff that was just announced. That's what my understanding that's the same person who's doing Picard 3.
Alex Kurtzman.
Yeah. And he's doing these new shows now for a modern audience. And the whole point was like, I guess Doomcock was saying that they needed Picard to fail because that would have been him that going out the door. But because now it's doing very well and successful, he's going to be sticking around and he's going to keep doing horrible shows. I don't know. At the end of the day, it's all trash, guys. Like, hey, and if Picard 3 is great, well, that's how I look at it, man. Look, if you enjoy it, watch it. I mean, if he starts putting out a bunch of bad crap, don't watch it after. Like same thing with Mandalorian. Season 1 and 2 were fairly good. Season 3's junk, and I'm not watching it, so I'm done until
it's so bad.
If they turn around in 2 years and they start putting out really good Star Wars content, and they're not pushing identity politics down our throats in it, I'll watch it. I mean, what else am I going to do? Never watch a show ever again because the companies hate us? Like, yeah, they're always going to hate. They've always have hated us. It's not new. They always have.
Except there's a few that seem to like Tom Cruise. Man, that guy's got my support. Same with Keanu Reeves, but he's not the company.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like Paramount. Yeah, the individual creators behind it, great. If they respect us, again, Tom Cruise may hate all of us personally, but he thanks us and he respects us. Well, there's a difference of liking and respecting, right? If you respect the audience,
yes.
But is Tom Cruise going to sit down and hang out with us? Nah, I doubt it. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't want to talk to us, but he respects us.
I think I'm cool enough for him to hang out with.
I don't know, Yeti. I don't know about now. I'm kidding. And Bobby asks, have I started Resident Alien yet? I started it a long time ago. I was watching, I think I got it to like 3 or 4 episodes, and it was really freaking good. I just got to rewatch it and start over and watch it because I've always heard good things about it. And the episodes I did watch were actually really enjoyable. They were really fun to watch, and it was a different show. Have you watched any of that, Yeti?
I think I have.
Yeah, it's really good. It was on Sci-Fi. I don't know what it's on now.
Is that a new show or an old show?
Let's see. It's been out for a while. I think a couple of years now. Let's see. 2021 season. There's 2 seasons out. 2021 was the last season. Oh, it's on Peacock. Okay. So I could watch it on there. I will check it out. Yeah, I'll finish watching
There's
it.
So many shows. And
yeah, but not good ones.
I know. Oh, okay. You know what? This is totally off subject, but everybody listening, I watched Tacoma FD the other day, and that show was so funny. I loved it. I absolutely loved that show. Everybody should watch that. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've heard that's really good. It's the guys from Super Troopers.
Broken Lizard.
Yep.
Yeah. But not all of them. There's you do see several other ones, so I don't know if they're all involved in making the production and there's just a couple actors, but you've got 2 main guys that do it. And they're also putting out a movie very soon about, I think, The Hunchback. What is it called? I don't remember.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yeah, it's a comedy movie about that. It looks funny.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one too.
But yeah, I think we're good. We're at 2 hours in. Let's first off, Yeti, you got to plug your channel again. I'm sure most of the people here have subscribed to you already, but in case they're listening to this on the playback, please subscribe to Yeti, his channel. Watch his roasts because they are hilarious. For the members that are here, I will be doing a member stream Sunday as long as my house is intact and I have internet. I should though, because weather sounds okay right now. But we'll see. I know it's supposed to get worse later on tonight, but yeah, we will be doing a member stream soon. Sunday morning, afternoonish. I'll let you know. It's either be 11 or 12 in the afternoon. I will be doing. I'm working on planning my first. What do you call it? Watch party. So Yeti, if you want to be a part of that and be on a panel, that'd be fun. I haven't decided yet. I think I'm gonna try to do like a bad movie watch party, like something we can roast and like laugh at.
That's what I always did. And as I get my channel going, I'm gonna start up a schedule to do those member streams and watch parties.
Yeah. So I haven't decided. Once I pick out a couple, I'll probably ask for some recommendations from everybody, bad movies, and then we can kind of put it to a vote. Since I have enough members now, there's enough people there that can vote on it, and we can watch it. I'll have a link so that if you don't have access to the movie, I'll set it up through StreamYard so people can watch it through there, and then you guys can listen to whoever I have on the panel, and we can just kind of heckle the movie and make fun of it, kind of like what's that old movie that they had the three people watching?
Mystery Science Theater.
Yes, like that. Yeah. Where we're sitting there just kind of ripping it apart. That'll be fun to do. And yeah, just be a good time. I definitely want to do that. But Yeti, thank you for being on. Is there anything else? Do you have anything else coming out soon or anything you want to plug?
Okay, well, yeah, go watch the roast. I put out 3 this week. Yes. I roasted Last of Us, The Mandalorian, and today I just put out the Dungeons and Dragons roast. So check that one out because I think you'll find it very funny. And I'm trying to pick which movie to start next, and I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, well, I know we have more movies coming out soon, so maybe you should do the Blood Honey. Did you see the Winnie the Pooh Blood Honey movie?
I haven't seen that. No, I have not seen that.
I haven't watched it, but I heard it's pretty horrible. I think that would be a fun movie to roast because it's literally Winnie the Pooh is a murderer. So might be worth checking out if you can maybe sail the 7 seas and do it. I don't know, but
yeah. And when I roast something, it doesn't always have to be bad. Like I could like something and still make fun of it. Sometimes that's even like funner to do because then you don't get tired of watching the clips. Like, oh, this thing sucks.
Yeah, a lot of editing and stuff. But but everyone, thank you again as always for joining. Like I said, sorry about the late stream. Sorry for missing last night, but there were a pretty decent amount of people here for a Friday night. I'm a little impressed that we were able to pull those kind of numbers with against some of the big boys. So I appreciate it as always. My channel members, Night Ronin, Bobby, Casey for becoming a channel member. I appreciate you as always. Even my other members here, David, got Vader Fanatic, Alan, GR, all of you guys for hanging out. I greatly appreciate it. As always, thank you for supporting the channel, watching, being members, being subscribers, and just hanging out with us. It's fun to talk about it. Yeti, again, thank you for last minute jumping on and helping with the conversations. I greatly appreciate it. Fat Man Roast was probably the best. I got to watch that. I haven't seen it.
Oh, I stopped doing my Yeti voice in the new ones. And I kind of want to go back and redo all my old videos with new audio because oh, okay, maybe that wasn't fully working, but that Fat Man Roast was probably one of my best. I also love that movie. Absolutely love that movie.
Well, awesome. Well, again, thank you, my friend. As always, like I said, you're more than welcome to come back on the channel anytime. Hopefully we can start doing some more streams together. Maybe we can get Justin to do that conspiracy theory stream, kind of alien stuff would be really cool in the future.
Yeah.
But other than that, everyone have a good weekend. Stay safe, stay dry, and I will talk to you all very, very soon.
See you all. Everyone.